I'm Wendy and I'm an alcoholic. You'd think I'd be really thrilled to have a captive audience for the next hour, but I'm not. I'm very, very grateful to be here. I can't actually believe when I was in treatment with Al and Tracy that I'd make it to 10 years. But I owe it to my higher power and this fellowship and this amazing program that we have, the program that saved my life. I promised myself I wouldn't say a lot because I listened to my last share on my phone this morning and I thought, I said that a lot, so I'll try not to. I won't go into all the gory details before coming into treatment. Suffice to say that I've always probably been an alcoholic, but I only picked up my first drink probably just before my 50th birthday. I used to go out with Peter for dinners and stuff like that, and I'd have a glass of wine and I'd never finish it because it just made me sleep and it didn't do anything for me. My dad was dying of cancer, and that's when my alcoholism really took hold. It was alcohol and sleeping pills. I used to go to Joburg to spend time with my mom and help her with my dad. She'd have a couple of glasses of wine and go to bed. I'd finish the cask and I didn't think there was anything weird about it until I did it more than once. And then I thought, well, maybe there's something wrong with me, but I was just sad and I was upset, and my dad was dying and he was my absolute idol. I adored him, and so what I'd do is I'd finish the cask, and before my mom would even notice what was missing in the fridge, I'd shoot up to the shop, go and replace the cask so she wouldn't know how much I'd been drinking the night after she'd gone to bed. Peter was totally unaware of what I was doing because I was an isolated drinker. I used to drink up in my room. I used to have bottles hidden all over the house, and sleeping pills were something that I also abused. I used to have a few chemists all over the place, so I had lots of prescriptions, and I used to hide them away as well. Peter only really discovered how bad it was just before he took me up to the treatment centre and he found my stash of pills. And I went up to the treatment centre in 2008. June the 27th, and I was not happy to be there, to say the least. Especially just before we went there, Peter had taken me, and the first person I'd met was Brian. And I always say this because it's something that a lot of people outside of these rooms don't understand, is when he told Peter myself that he was an alcoholic and that he could help me. I couldn't understand how an alcoholic could help me. That was before I came to understand that it takes one alcoholic to help another to actually get this. I really, really did not enjoy my time in treatment. I found it very difficult. It was my first real long time away from home. The only time I had been away, from Peter's, when he went away on business trips. And I was my own boss in my own house. And I soon discovered that I was not my boss. I was not in control. The bell was in control, and so were the counsellors. And most of the counsellors, all the counsellors except for two, were younger than me. And I found it also very difficult having somebody younger than me telling me what to do, which is ironic, really, because Aldine's way younger than me, and she tells me what to do constantly. So anyway, I went into treatment on the 27th of June, and it was really hard from the get-go. I didn't like being there. I didn't want to be there. I had all these rules and regulations to follow, and about the first week in, after I'd finished my detox and had started my steps, I just started writing my step one, just so I could get out of there, because I didn't realize that Peter had booked me in for 3 months. I thought it was there just for 28 days or just to detox or just to chill for a little bit. And Annie gave it back to me after my 10th question and said, start over again, it's absolute crap that you've written down. And I was really, really grateful for that, because then I thought to myself, I'm here, I'm stuck here, I can't go anywhere, I might as well do it properly. And when I started looking at the questions in step 1, I started to understand slowly how this program works. I was totally honest in step 1, because I kept on being told, if you're not honest in step 1, you're wasting your time. So that's what I did. And I was actually really grateful to realize that I was totally powerless over this disease, because before coming into the treatment center, I tried to give up, I don't know how many times. I'd throw bottles away and say, no more. And the next morning I'd be back at the bottle store buying more booze. Step 1, I took about almost a month to do it. And bear in mind, I thought I was leaving after 28 days. And Annie said to me, well, as soon as you're leaving, soon, you better do your life story before you start step 2 when you go home. Obviously, she was just talking crap, because I was there for a long time. Anyway, so I did my life story, and when I wrote it out, I came across as a victim in every single situation of my life. I was married before, and he was one of those men that thought it was, his right to go out with the boys and screw around with other women and get drunk. And because of him, I never touched booze, because I didn't like what it did to him. So it was something that I never even touched. I didn't go into a bottle store to buy him beers, because I refused. And anyway, I said to Annie, just before my 28 days was up, I said, listen, I don't think I should go home. So she said, do you think so? Yeah, I think I should stay a little bit longer and, try and do some more steps. So she said, fine. She still hadn't told me I was there for 3 months. Anyway, when I did my life story, I came across as a victim. Poor me, this happened to me, that happened to me. When I was in treatment, my last brother was busy dying of cancer as well, so he was my last remaining natural family. My dad had gone, my younger brother had gone, my mother had gone, and now I just had this one brother, and he was now dying of cancer as well. And I thought to myself, well, he's not going to be around, and because I was really hoping by the time I got out, I'd be able to help him and his my sister-in-law, who I don't like much at all. In fact, we don't talk at all, because she's a bitch. And I did my step 2, step 3, and then while I was still busy with my step 2, my feedback came back for my life story. And it was rough. And all these people were telling me what an awful person I was. And Caleb kept on saying, nobody knows you. And they didn't even realize up until that time that I even had another daughter. I'd mentioned my youngest son and my eldest son, but I'd never mentioned my daughter. And that was because when I got into treatment, Samantha and I hadn't spoken for 3 years, because it's her story and something that had happened between her and my mom. When my mom was dying, and I just cut her out, because I could do that. My godmother, she had a thing with my late husband, so I cut her out for 7 years. I never spoke to her. And my daughter, it was easy. I just cut her out of my life. And that was something I just did. You pissed me off, you no longer existed in my life. I carried on with my steps, and I took a really hard look at myself. And the more I wrote, the more I didn't like what I saw. I always thought I was quite a nice person. It turns out I wasn't. I'm surprised my husband's still sitting next to me. We've been married for nearly 33 years this year, and he should actually have a halo over his head, because I don't know how I put up with him. He always says I was a sweet drunk, because most of the time I used to drink and go to sleep. I never really got nasty or got argumentative, but I took myself out. I isolated, and with the result is, I think for the 5 years or so that I was drinking, Peter barely had a wife, and my son barely had a mother, my younger son. My two older kids had already left home, so they weren't really involved in my drinking career. When I think I'd finished all my steps by the time my 2 months was up, or just over 2 months, and I decided now I need to leave again, because my brother was on his deathbed. They hadn't given him very long to go, and I thought, no, I really need to be there. So I thought I'd go and tell the office that, please phone Peter, I need to go home now. I've done all my steps, I've been here long enough, and I must go. And I had another one of those before that. At 2 months, I said I wanted to leave. And I had a horrible reality group where people were telling me yet again what a horrible person I was, and I stuck it out for 2 months, and I'm supposed to be making amends to my husband and my son, so part of that was staying in treatment, and blah, 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 blah. And I dug in my heels because I can be really, really stubborn. And all these people were saying, why I must stay, and my lip was out, and I was not staying, I wanted out. And then I sat there and I thought to myself, just because you think you're older and you've got seniority on most people, you're actually acting like a really old fool. Why don't you just stick it out? You've only got another month to go, and with living in Scottsboro, if you leave the treatment centre early, nobody from the treatment centre is allowed to talk to you, and I didn't want that. And various other reasons, because I thought 3 months of my life is not a whole hell of a lot, especially if I'm going to be living a totally different life to the one I had before I started doing the program. So I stuck it out. And then, like I say, 2 weeks before I was due to leave, I decided I needed to go again because then my brother needed me. I had no idea what I thought I was going to do up there in Joburg, because him and his wife and their friends are all very, very big drinkers. Of course, Jeff wasn't drinking much in those days because he was dying of cancer. And Annie phoned Peter, and my bag was packed. She phoned Peter. Peter came up to the treatment centre, and I said, I'm going to go home, and I want to go home now. And Peter turned around and said, no. Yes, I hated him again that day. I hated him when he took me into the treatment centre, and I hated him that day as well. And then I thought, he's right. I've got 2 weeks to go, same reasons to stay as the first time I wanted to go. So I stuck it out. And again, I'm very grateful that I did my full 3 months. It was the longest 3 months of my life. I don't think I've ever had a longer 3 months. It felt like 6, but it was worth every minute of it. I met some amazing people in the treatment centre. I call them friends today. And then I left and I started on my true journey of recovery in the fellowship in Scottsboro. Since coming out of treatment, I've had the same sponsor. I've gone to 3 meetings a week. Every week, I don't miss it unless I'm not here, either on holiday or sick, whatever, but that doesn't happen very often. And my journey's been pretty uneventful, actually. I've had no major hiccups. I've had no major struggles. I've had things that have, I've always had a sponsor, or if I haven't been able to get hold of my sponsor, I've always had people in the fellowship that I've been able to get hold of and that have helped me. My sponsees have helped me, especially this last year, or last 4 or 5 months. And I always managed to dodge the bullet for about the first 7 years of getting, I got sponsees, but they came and they went. They didn't really last because they weren't working the program the way I'd been taught to work the program. And because I'm passionate about this program, and I'm a bit of a dictator when it comes to this program. A lot of those earlier sponsees, they didn't last. Then about 3 years ago, I got my first, what I call true sponsees, because they've stuck it out, they work their program, and strangely enough, they listen to me sometimes. Warren was my first sponsee, and when he came, he asked me to chair for his 1 year share. And I said to him, but where's your sponsor? And he said, well, he hasn't got one. So I said, well, don't you think you should get one? So he said, yeah, but will you chair for me? So I said, yeah, sure. And then straight after the meeting, he said to me, will you sponsor me? So that was the start of our journey. And I had more along the way, and 3 of them are here today. Thank you for supporting me. Yeah, so I've had, I do service, and I try and carry this message to the best of my ability, and I try and carry the message to me, to other people, the way it was carried to me. For me, when Annie was my sponsor in treatment, and she was an enormous help. I thought she was soft, but she wasn't. When it came to step work, she was an absolute nutsy. And the other person that helped me a hell of a lot in treatment was Brian. I didn't like some of the sponsors or counsellors in the treatment centre, but I've changed my view on them, because they are as passionate, if not more passionate, about this program as I am, and they know what they knew it then, and they know now what they were talking about. So no matter whether you hate your sponsor or you don't like the counsellors, listen to them, because if I can get something out of this, and if I can recover at my age, anybody can. Because, like I said, I can't emphasize enough how stubborn I was. I thought I knew everything. I absolutely knew squat. And since coming into the program, I have learned so much, and not just from the program, but from the people in these rooms. I learn something new every day. Every meeting I go to, I learn something. And when they say you're never too old to learn, trust me, you're not. Because I didn't think a program of 12 steps could help you, or help me rather, with my alcoholism, and also help me to stop drinking. I thought that was all it was, stop drinking and stop using sleeping pills. But I came to discover it had absolutely nothing to do with substances. It's about me and my behavior. And like I said before, I thought I was a nice person. I wasn't, and my behavior must have been appalling. But because I was inebriated at the time, I obviously didn't see it. But doing the step work, and especially step 1, I started seeing my part in just about everything. Well, except my late husband and his screwing around. I had nothing to do with it. I refused to take responsibility for that then, and I still do today. One of my biggest teachers have been the people that have relapsed in this program, because every time something like that happens, it reaffirms to me that it's not where I want to go again. I never ever want to go back to what I was like 10 years ago. Not being able to remember what Peter said to me the day before, and then like lying again, that I remembered, and glossing it over until more information came out, and then I'd start grasping what he was talking about. And that's a horrible way to live, not remembering, and also the lying, not remembering the lie that you told, and then trying to remember what you did to get out of that situation. Not having to do that anymore is a huge relief. I've stopped getting grey hairs from listening to, trying to remember stuff that I can't remember that happened, and I'm trying to pretend that I do remember that happened. I got 5 sponsees now. I used to have 6. Unfortunately, one of them relapsed. But again, that was a lesson to me, because she stopped listening to me, her sponsor, and the result is she stopped working the program, she stopped coming to meetings. She's just stopped doing everything that she was taught, because she also went to the treatment center. And again, that was, not something, it was a reminder to me that's not something I want to do again. And Peter was saying this morning that something about you can't believe it's 10 years, and I said to him, well, I'm so stubborn, I'm not going to give this away. So I'm holding on to it just as much as I held on to some of my resentments. And there was quite a few of them, most of which I've let go of. I wouldn't exactly call it a resentment, but when I came into treatment, I had a very good friend of mine, well, she was my best friend, that I'd known since we were in school together. And a year before I came into the treatment center, her son, her eldest son, had gone into a treatment center in the UK. He came out and he came and visited them about the time I was in treatment. And she was a huge help to Peter while I was up there. And I think about a week after I came out, her son went back to the UK and overdosed, because unknown to them, he'd still been using, even though he'd been in a treatment center for a year. And because I was so enthusiastic and I'd got this then sort of thing, she resented that. And from then to this day, she's never spoken to me again. It was something that really upset me. It hurt me a lot, because, like I say, we've been friends for a hell of a long time, nearly 40 years. And it was something that both Aldine and Peter had to keep on saying to me, let it go, let it go, let it go. And I found it very, very difficult. And after a while, I realized that I, again, have got no control over people, places, and situations. I had no control over the way she felt about me, and I couldn't control it. So it was eventually, I think it's one of the few things that it's taken me a long time to let go of. But I did, and to this day, like I say, I still haven't heard from her. All I can do is wish her well. Sorry, Leia. Yeah, I've had a remarkable recovery. I've had a very happy recovery. My youngest son, who did not want to speak to me at all when I was in the treatment center, he just cut me out. He wouldn't even ask Peter how I was, because he was so disgusted with me. For the full 3 months, I didn't hear from him. And slowly but surely, that relationship came back. It didn't take very long, because I think he saw after about 6 months that I was different. On the advice of my sponsor at the time, when I was still in treatment, said to me, do not try and make amends before you've had at least 1 year clean. And I didn't, not physically, well, not verbally rather. But for the first year, I never sat Peter down or Jared down and said to them, look, I'm sorry, I apologize for my behavior. I didn't do that. But when I was a year clean, I sat them both down and I did the same. I did that. And both of them said it wasn't necessary. I had nothing to be sorry for, because they had seen that my behavior had changed over the first year of recovery. This year's been a bit tough. I've had to start looking for another job. Well, I've had to start looking for a job after being out of the job market for 20 years. And trust me, at my age, it's not easy. But I'm actually now excited about it. I have got a part-time job. It starts at the end of the month that I'm looking forward to, but I'm going to have to go and try and find something else to keep me busy because of various reasons. But I'm actually excited about it now. I really did not want to get out of my comfort zone, because I like getting into that zone, and I don't like anything deviating from it. Like, I'll go to my meetings and I'll do this and I'll do that. But having to now get up and do something to earn money, because it was a bit difficult to wrap my mind around. But like I say, now I'm actually pretty excited about it. I think I gave Peter quite a tough time about it. I was resentful at first, and my very wise sponsor said to me, stop thinking yourself and think how Peter must be feeling. And when she said that, my attitude changed, because I used to wake up angry and I didn't like the feeling at all. And when she said that, my attitude changed, and like I say, now it's something that God has presented, I suppose, in a way that it's a new part of my journey. It's a new path in my journey. I've actually gone blank again. Yeah, thanks. Huh? Oh yeah, that's one. My daughter Samantha, she's one of us, and she came to stay with us about 4 months ago. She asked if she could come for about a month, and I brought her into the rooms. I brought her to meetings, and after 2 weeks, I said to Samantha, "You've got to get out of here. Either you leave or I leave," because I couldn't stand having her around, because she's just like me, and I didn't like seeing me every day. You know, the me that was like I was before I came into these rooms. She's clean and sober. She's been clean and sober for about 5-6 months now. She's back with her partner, thank God, not in my house, because as much as I love my daughter, she is difficult. And she's not really demanding, but she's there in my house. And it's just been Peter and myself and our two dogs for as long as I can remember. Well, for the last 6 years since Jared finally moved out as well. Not that he was home much, because it was varsity, and then he was teaching in South Korea, and now he's finally left and he's not coming back. It seems like my 2 older kids, even though I get rid of them, they always come back. I don't like that. I really don't like my older kids coming back into my home, because they disrupt my routine. Warren came back once as well, and just after I came out of treatment, he was there for 10 months, and eventually I said to him, "Get out. I don't care, I love you, you're my son, but get out. I can't stand having you in my house anymore." Because he just used to sit there and not do much. He didn't even go out and look for a job. And that, I think, pissed me off the most, because I didn't bring him up to be a lazy little shit, and that's what he turned out to be. He's now got himself a fiance, and he's also up in Joburg, and he's an artist, so he thinks because he's an artist, you know, he can chill most of the time, and I don't know what the hell they do. But out of all things, he's now in construction. Now you must know, Warren is 6'4". He's like this, skinny as a rat, and he's in construction. I mean, I don't even think he can pick up a brick. But that's what he does. But he's happy. Samantha now is also very happy. She's also out looking for work, because when she was staying with us, she was also unemployed. And I think I was encouraging until I found out that I had to get a job as well. And then I said to her, "Right, now you get out, because I've also got to find a job, and I can't afford to keep you anymore." And that was a wonderful excuse. But the reality is I couldn't afford to keep her anymore, because, my God, that child can eat. And she's skinny as well. I mean, all my kids are like me. They're all... Anyway, the last few months have been difficult, but I've worked this program. It took me about 3 weeks to start working my program again, because the program went out the window. I became a total bitch again without substances. I got to the stage where I was shouting at the dogs. And when I shout at the dogs, then I know I'm going to start working my program, because they don't understand. I'm not going to go on for much longer, except to say that I'm very, very grateful to my higher power and to this program. Without this, I wouldn't be sitting here today. And really, if you guys want the kind of life that you're happy, serene, and peaceful, and love what you do, I suggest you stick to your program because it really, really works. If it works for me, it can work for anybody. Thanks for letting me share.